Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to be reviewing The Owl House Season 2 Episode 3 called Echoes of the Past. And later today I'm going to be reviewing The Owl House Season 2 Episode 4 Keeping Up Appearances. And first of all I just want to say I don't know how it happened, but it happened again, and it was even longer, where the first episode was like the longest video I ever did. It was like 54 minutes, I believe, close to an hour, and I was trying to make sure episode 2 wasn't as long, but for some reason it was an hour and 1 minute, so hopefully that video wasn't too long for you guys, because I was like, I'm sure it's not too long. I didn't look at the time, and I was like, it's 1 hour and a minute? I mean, it was 1 hour and 4 minutes, but I had to, cut some stuff. It's like the beginning of setting it up and the end of cutting the end of when I end the video, so I don't show that stuff, so, So, I don't know if this video is going to be even longer. I'm even talking about it right now, so I'm kind of wasting like seconds to like a minute, so I don't know. So I'm sorry if you guys don't like this hour-long reviews. That was my first one ever, so I don't know if I'm gonna do any more. Maybe it might happen, maybe it won't, but oh, so I'm done with that conversation. But I wanted to say also is that for a while, The Owl House had very low reviews, and then I believe two episodes in particular where in season 1, I was a teenage abomination, and the first day reached to 100. Then I was a teenage abomination reached to 200. I think the first day so like 100 and what was it, 80 or something? I forgot. It was like around there. So I always thought because like Big City Greens hit 1,000 views. Amphibia's biggest review was the season 1 trailer reaction. That was like 232. So now the Owl House is in 200. So I wonder if the Owl House is gonna get more reviews than Amphibia. It might happen. I was expecting that from the beginning. I was like, oh, because the Owl House is more popular than Amphibia, but Amphibia is doing better. But now the Owl House is kind of maybe because it's getting more subscribers and stuff. But that's what I'm gonna say, because you're probably wondering, you said it was gonna be shorter. I'm sorry, but let's get and it's gonna be a double video today, or technically Saturday, because it's 12:59. It's a minute to one in the morning. So so let's start with Echoes of the Past, and then I'll do Keeping Up Appearances, and then next week I think it might go back to Big City Greens, because I have how many episodes? Three more episodes. 13, 14, and 15 is the mid-season finale, so that's Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and Friday. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'll figure it out though. It's all just speculation, but okay. So let's start with Echoes of the Past. Does it start right here? No, sorry. It starts with a flashback actually. I'm gonna try to talk a little bit slower, because when I watch my reviews, I'm talking really fast and I don't understand what I'm saying. Like, I understand what I'm saying right now, but when I look back in the video, I'm like, what am I talking about? So I'm gonna try to do this. Okay. So we see a hooded figure on a staff that is going through the boiling rain. She goes to this. The hooded figure goes to this mysterious island. The figure lands. The figure takes off the hood, and we see it's a young Ida, and with a little bit of gray hair and like spiky hair, like so. oh, okay, pretty cool design. And she has like a gold tooth, which is funny. It's pretty cute. Alright. And she just walking around, and she sees that her cloak has holes in it, and she goes into this temple place, and she sees these statues, and she has Albert with her, and she we see two yellow eyes, and like, oh, what's this? And she sees something very fast go by, and Ida's like, who's there? Like, show yourself. And the thing with the yellow eyes is behind her, and she turns around and like and then intro, then we get to the present day, and we get this book, and there's the ice glyph, the fire glyph, the light glyph, and we see some notes. Glyphs glyphs equal different, what's this diff meanings, but different meanings, different placement. Light, but also power, question mark, reflection, question mark, color, question mark, question mark, question mark. And it's loose with a, like, oh, like, I don't know, face. And she's like, trying different like combinations. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And okay, so that wasn't too long. And you see Luce with a ton of books and stuff, and she's trying different glyphs combinations. This is not working out. And we see King, and he's like, oh, Luce, you gotta help me. I think Francois is starting a rebellion. And you see Francois with the like a knife, and and King's like, ugh. And Luce is like, I can't right now, King. I'm working on this different combinations. And she's like, hey, maybe Lilith can help you. She was in the Emperor's Coven. She knows how to, defuse rallies. And look at Lilith right here. And I like the chalkboard with the different glyphs on it. So looks pretty cool. And Lilith is like very particular. And she's like, oh, watching the paint dry is the best part. And and Hootsifer is like, oh, a cup of tea from my favorite cup of tea. And Lilith, straightens out her hair. And and Hootsifer, like, that's you, Lulu. And Lulu's like, oh, Hootsifer, you're a gem. What would it do without you? And King's like, hey, what's going on? Is Hootie blackmailing Lilith? And Lucy's like, oh no, I think they're actually friends. Isn't that nice? But okay, I'm gonna, oh, sorry, I kind of spoiled that. But he's like, all right, this glyph combo is gonna work, and we see the symbol, and then that actually looks pretty cool. And he's like, okay, this is gonna work, and then whoosh, she turns invisible, and even Lilith is like, wait, I thought, oh, there we go. I was like, well, where's her reaction? And she's like, huh? And then Lilith's like, and, oh, she said like, now you see me? And, oh, now you don't. And it's like, oh. And look at King, he's like, oh no. And Lucy's like, oh, I guess it only lasts as long as I, hold my breath. And King's like, oh, don't do that ever again. Don't do that ever again. And Lilith's like, do that again. How did you learn that? It's like, oh, I would, because you and Ida realized you can, command the magic around you, and you can combine glyphs to make new spells. I was reading your history books, Lilith, and like, I got the idea. So, thank you for that. And Lilith's like, and Lucy's like, I've been experimenting. And and Lilith's like, oh, as the lead scholar of the Emperor's Coven, like, I know a thing or two. And she like trips over like the army. And I'll get to this part in a minute, but first I wanted to say is that we're getting back to Luce learning new spells. Even though the glyph combinations, it still counts as 2 spells into a brand new spell, which is really cool. A little bit kind of confusing if people are not, for people who are watching who are not very in tune with magic and stuff, or at least magic in this world. So I can understand like, well, this doesn't make any sense, but maybe give it some more time, get more feeling to it. And if it doesn't feel to you, I'm sorry, but but Anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. Some people are like, I don't understand it. Well, give it some time. I'm sure you'll get it. But so Luz is learning like another spell, and one of my biggest complaints in season 1 was at least in my opinion, the inconsistency of Luz learning new glyphs. Like, it was in episode 4, and then it was in episode 12, and then it was episode 16 and 17. Like, it was very far apart and then very squished together. I wished it was episode 4, episode 8, then episode 12, then episode 16, and then there was an episode cut, so like no episode 20, and you could have 4 spells, and that kind of bad body, at least in my opinion, people like it for some reason. The bad body swap episode, Luz probably could have saw a glyph in one of Ida's books, and she could have swapped bodies with Ida, and Ida could have hanged out with Basha, and it's like, oh, you're the owl lady, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna teach you kids how to real have fun. And King can just be sleeping somewhere or at the owl house, maybe clean Hootie or something. He's not in the episode. I didn't really like it. And Luz can be with Lilith. Oh, you're Ida's human pet. You're the human apprentice. I'm gonna get you because they're associating with my sister, who's a criminal. And you can have like a chase scene downtown. I don't know. It could have been better where Luz learned glyphs. So Luz learns 2 spells consistently. Consistently. So that was like my little take on the episode. So hopefully we get a new spell episode 6, so it's consistent, but that's my hope for it. But if you guys like it very spread out and very close together, that's you. Anyway, you get the king who's gonna defend his army. He's you're traitor, and Hootie just blocks the attack, and he's like, I'm done for, Lulu. Wait a minute. I just want to check something first, in case if I want to play this clip right here. Should I do this one? I think I might. Oh, there could be another one, but I don't want to play too many clips because, unfortunately, with my Amphibia ones, I played 2, which I think are small clips, but I get copyrighted. So I don't know. Trying to decide. I did not think I would have a hard decision like this, but apparently I am. You know what? I'm just going to do this one. I'm going to do it. Okay. He's like, I'm done for, Lulu. And I was like, this is pretend Lucifer. And he's like, I'm about to die in your arms. Avenge me. He's like, blah. And King threw another plushie. And, he's like, oh, the king of demons, bows to no one. And, you get some information, which is pretty cool. He's like, historically speaking, there has never been, there has never been a king of demons before. There's never been a single rule before Belos. And 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 King threw another plushie at her, and he's like, oh, that's impossible. Clearly you know nothing about my reign of terror. Allow me to illuminate. And we get more backstory. He's like, oh, I was once the mighty king of demons. I was beloved as much as I am feared. And I really like this whole um the very dark backgrounds. And I like this girl on the right. She has three eyes. Relation to Basha? Does King know somebody? And she looks pretty cute too. I mean, the nose kinda eh. The nose is kinda eh, but I like her hair. I think it's female. It's female, right? Oh dang it, I don't know anymore. I don't know. But these snake people are really cool. And they're bowing to King, and it's like, oh, like, but once the evil hex, like, shrank me, like, it transformed me into this. And then Hootie, I'm glad they bring context here. Season 2 is way better than season 1. Hootie's like, oh yeah, what happened to your crown of power? Remember episode 1? He's like, oh, my crown of power. And King explains, oh, that was nothing but a trifle. It was to prove that Luce and Ida were dedicated to me. They passed. My crown is still out there somewhere, but when I shrank, my memories became fuzzy. And this is what I was saying, like, is he lying? Is he not lying? Because he's saying my memories are fuzzy, so maybe he's not. And Lulu is basically saying, oh, how convenient. The holes in your memory are just as many as holes in your story. And Hootie's like, oh, up top, Lulu, and she gave him a black eye. And King's like, oh, look, you know what you're talking about. I had armies that were like bowing before me. I was fed the greatest feast, and that actually looked pretty good. And and this is actually new. I remember falling from a great height, and that's when that evil hex shrank me. And he said, one day I'll regain my power, and then all shall fear me. And then Lucy's like, oh, well, who's gonna be the most fearful tyrant ever? Who is it? He's like, yeah, it's me. And Love is like, like you're sorry. Lilith is basically saying that, like, what did she say? Like wow, Lucy really giving into King's fantasy here, and King's like, it's not a fantasy. What do you say? Like, don't blame me for your ignorance, which is like a great line ever. He's like, I'm telling the truth, and I can prove it. And he's like, oh, where's it going? And Love's like, he's calling me ignorant. Me? And Hootie's like, no. He's just shaking his head. And Lucy's like, hey guys, knock it off. This story is very important to him. And Love's like, oh, you mean indulge in his fantasy? And and Lucy's like, this story is very important to him. Just do it for his sake, please. And this is where we get a little bit of I'll get to this in a minute, but we get the dilemma between two sides of which side is right. Lucy wants to protect King in a way where King believes he's a kid, well, sort of a kid. We don't know anything about him, but people speculated maybe he's like a prince or something, like a long time ago in season 1. There's like a theory going around. But Lucy's like, oh, look, he's like a little baby. He's a little baby, and this is just a story. He believes in it in so much, and this is like what he believes in very strongly, and I don't want him to be sad. I don't want him to lose that. And Love's like, this is a lie, and you're basically keeping up with the lie, and that's not good. And I'm kind of with both sides, but I'm a little bit more toward Love because I'm a teen. I'm an adult, and lying to kids isn't really like the best answer. There's a couple of circumstances that you can slide by, a couple of the mythical creatures and stuff like that are common. I don't want to mention anything because there could be kids watching. I don't want them brokenhearted or anything. This as a safety precaution, but any mythical creatures that they believe in and stuff, some adults and guardians, like, and parents to, keep up with the, like, the so-called lie. I mean, you never really see them, so how you know it's not a lie or not, I don't know. But basically that's kind of like a thing, but I'm more towards Lilith, where if you really believe in something so much and it's a lie and it gets out of hand, you kind of have to do something. So I kind of went both sides, but Lilith is kind of right too, but Lucy's like, no, like, I don't know. I'm leaning towards more with Lilith because I'm an adult, but if I was a kid, I think I would lean towards Luce, but your call. But and King, he is like trying to get the saps out, and he's like, he dropped them and like, oh, I gotta do it this way. It's like, all right, like, you two are gonna doubt. You guys are gonna apologize, once we go to my castle. And Luce is like, and Hooty's like, oh, like, what's wrong, Luce? You said just to go with. And Luce is like, go with him. I said we should go with him. That's what I said. And like, Luce grabbed Ida's staff, and Lilith grabbed her staff from King, and she's like, my knowledge is being questioned, and I will not stand for that. So Hooty, would you like to join us? And Hooty's like, oh, I'll get ready. And then she's like, and making the noises. This is funny. And look at their faces. Oh my gosh! And this was actually in the trailer. And this was the backpack that Lilith was wearing, the birdhouse backpack. And Hooty's like, Porta Hooty, we're reporting for Hooty. And Luce is like, ugh, and the King is crying, and Lilith is scared. Luce is like, ugh, ugh. And Ida was taking a shower. Okay. And look, they're just flying away. And Luce put her which is cloak on, which is cool. And he's like, hey, where did it go? And he's like, oh well, it's been a while since I put my feet up. And Ida's looking at the note that King left off to my real castle. Don't wait up, love, like heart, your favorite demon overlord. And Ida's like, oh no, not again. And she puts her feet back on. She puts her clothes on, and she goes in this this bathtub. There's a better view of it. She was actually using this in Separate Tides. I don't think I mentioned it or not, but she's using it again. We got a better view of it, so that's cool. And so she's gonna go after King, and we get this cool shot with like the sunset clouds, and we say, oh, are we there yet? We've been flying for hours. And Lilith is like, should we call it a day or a night, perhaps? And she's, oh, Hooty, your laughter is infectious. Your jokes. And King's like, oh, over there, look at this island. That's so cool. And like, and Hooty's like, woohoo! And we got a better view of it. Cool. And that was the temple that Ida went in, by the way. And we get some knowledge here too. Lilith's like, this island should not be here. It's not on any maps. And she is the head scholar of the Emperor's Coven. They know everything. And King says, it's always here when I look for it. And they land. And look at the trees. It looks so cool. And King's like once I shrunk, Ida found me here, and she took me away like a little baby. And Luce is like, aww. And Luce is like, mm. And Lilith's like, okay, fine. So I guess I'll just leave it right there. And then basically they go inside, and I guess Ida by herself is kind of like the B plot, if you would call it that. Okay, but and Love is like, not to be a stick in the mud, but couldn't we land it a little closer? And King gets some background. These treetops are so thick, that where we came from was the only way in. And and Love almost tries to, Hootie catches her and like with the tree, and she's like, thank you, Lucifer. And he's like, oh, no problem. And they go in and they find the temple, and and King's like, oh, like I'll find another way. And and King said, now I can dramatically do this, and he shows the temple. I wish I can show it, but I can't. Sorry, but King goes inside. I'll find you guys another way in. He's like, wriggle, wriggle, wriggle. And Lilith's like, hey, Luce, take a look at this markings. I've never seen anything like them before. And Luce is like, whoa. And and Lilith basically says, King's story may be a fake, but these ruins are a history mystery. Woo! Like, Lilith's excited. And King like takes some rocks out so they can go in. And King said, oh, hey, what's the mystery? And Lucy's like, the only mystery is how Lilith can be so smart but also so wrong. Your academics, am I right? And King said, oh, you're so are. And Lilith gives her a look. And Lucy's like, come on. And they go in. And King's like, welcome to my castle. This is where I would devour my foes. The taste would be bitter, but I'm sure yours would be sweet, Luce. And Luce's like, without the sugar I eat, it better be. So kind of stating if King was still overlord, or if he would eat Luce, she would be sweet. Okay. It's your world, King. But they are walking, and there's some murals with a gigantic demon. It kind of looks like King. Oh, was that him? Maybe. And and Lilith's like, oh, these drawings, I never seen anything like it. Kind of looked at King. And Huey's like, what does that mean? And Lilith's like, well, if I never seen these markings or anyone else, and this whole, or even this whole temple, this whole island even, who knows what a scholar's missed? And Huey's like, are you saying? And Lilith's like, he might actually have been the king of demons. They say at the same time to look at King, and King's on a bunch of rocks. He's like, oh, I got some bone dust in my eye. And and there's like a gigantic demon like fighting this giant monster. And my first instinct, like when I saw this thing, it was like, was this the Titan? And was this King or relative King fighting the Titan or something? Because it kind of looks like it, but also kind of doesn't. It's kind of cut off of the carving. And I don't have the clip right now to reference it, but it kind of looked like the Titan. Did it not? I don't know. Kind of did. But and Hootie knocks Luce out of the way. Oh, your Majesty! Like, I was just messing with you the entire time, right? And Lilith's like, oh, you guys show us more of these historical carvings, like, Your Highness. And Luce's like, Your Highness, and well, I guess Luce walking away would be the B plot, not Ida, but I digress. Like, you can pick if you want. And and King's like, I'll show you where I would devour my enemies. And Luce is like, she just walks away. And she sees like some statues that kind of like Ida was seeing, but they're bigger with guts and stuff, like ugh. And like and she sees a bunch of them, and she sees one missing, and she like sees one to say, oh, high five, and it just knocks it over. And she looks again, and it's gone, and it makes a hissing noise like sss, and it just walks away. And Luce has a light glyph, and that was in the trailer with all those like crescent moon thing statues. So that was that this episode. And she's holding the light glyph up, and she was like seeing a bunch of them, and she just ran off. Great response. And she goes to Love, Hootie, and King, and and like Love's like, what carving is this, my lord? And King said, oh, it's a little bit fuzzy. But that handsome devil reminds you of something, right? And Love's like, hey, what's this what's up here? And King's like, I can't recall. I just remembered a muffled roar. Or did Luce ask that? Yeah, I think Luce asked. I think Luce asked that before she ran off. But Luce came back. Is like, we have to go now. And Lilith is like, but there's so much to learn here. And, Luce is like, but this is not a place of learning. This is a place of death. And King gets off of Lilith, and he's like, oh, don't worry. You just went into my monster room. It can't hurt you. And we see it, and it, like, twists his head around, and like, ugh. And Luce is like, that can. She grabs King, and then it goes, like, in front of them. It's very agile, and it turns his hand to kind of like an axe and trying to get him, and Luce is ducking, and Love uses some ice glyphs to kind of trap it, and Luce is like, oh dang girl, you've been practicing, and she's like, you can admire my progress when we get out of here. And this thing, its guts can like open, and the ice spikes go onto the wall, and now the thing's free. So wow, these would be great soldiers because it can't die or something. Maybe it can, I don't know. But it is basically going around, and they're just trying to fight this thing, but they can't. And then Ida shows up, potion bomb, and he's like, "Oh, Ida!" It's like, "You guys wait outside. I'll handle this." And Lucy's like, "Hey, Ida, we'll fight it together." Like, no, you can't beat this thing. Like, go now. And like, Love, Hootie, King, and Luce all go. And and Ida's like, oh, it's been a while, miss me? So Ida knows this thing. Oh, that's me, awesome. And Hootie's like, let's keep running. Why are we stopping? And Lil's like, Edelin said to wait right here. And Lucy's like, we shouldn't let her fight that thing alone. And we see some like some more explosions, and Ida comes with no more potions, and she kind of has like a bruise on her arm, so she's like, ugh. And Liv's like, oh, Edelin, you're hurt, and she's wrapping her arm like a good older sister. Thank you. And like and Lucy's like, oh, that thing, that creature must be protecting this place, this temple, from intruders. And King's like, it's my castle. How could we be intruders? And Lucy's like, and she's like sweating, and King's like, you don't think this is my castle, do you? And Lucy's sweating more, and King's like, Lucy, think I would lie to you? And we get some more backstory where King wasn't lying, sort of, where Ida's like, you aren't lying, King, you just don't know the whole truth. And she like sits down while Love is putting more bandage, and and Hootie's just like kind of has a sad look on his face, and Ida's like, it's finally time to tell you how we really met. And we get to them. So I'm glad, kind of a little spoiler, King wasn't lying. He just didn't know the whole thing. It's fine. But, my throat. Ida, we get back to the flashback where Ida's like, oh, who's there? And we get to the thing, and it's Baby King, and he looks so cute. I wish I could show it. I can't show it. Sorry. But, I'm getting tired. Has it been an hour? Maybe. I don't know. But basically, Ida's like, oh, like, hey, and Baby King is building more statues, kind of like the big one that was attacking them. So, oh, what's going on? And Ida's petting King. Is like, oh, did you make all these? And Ida's like, in the narration, she said, I thought you were some lost dog. Or like a baby wolf, and she's like, oh, then this thing was gonna attack us both. It was gonna kill us both. So she grabbed King, and she just booked it out of there. And this thing like shot an arrow, and broke King's horn. And I forgot to mention something when the thing was still going after Ida, and there's a force field where it didn't allow the creature to go. And Ida said like, I can't like leave the temple. It can't go out the entrance. So that's why you're kind of wondering, like, hey, did that thing go away? It's like, it's trapped, so, okay. But, this thing gets trapped again, but it broke off King's horn. That's why his horn's broken. Ida kept the horn, and Ida's like, against my better judgment, I took you home with me. And Ida just had a sad look on her face, while holding King, while she was on Albert. And she's like, as any good pet owner, I gave you color. And, we see Baby King, like, building more stuff, and like he kind of like a ruler face. And Ida made a joke where she was like, oh, like a king amongst his subjects, and he has a baby voice. It's so cute. his first word, king, king. And he's like, oh, it spoke. Like, yeah, a king. And you know what kings do? They command armies and have great feasts. She gave the story. And, and Ida's like, that's the truth, king. You were finally happy. And you kept on remembering the story and building more fantasies up on top of that. And I just kept on playing along with it because you were finally happy. And King's like, no, you're lying. And she's like, I'm not. She grabs the horn from her hair and she shows it to the king. And I'm like, does this horn have magical powers? It might, because he touches it and he has memories. Like, he didn't even put it on. Like, he's just holding it. So, oh. And he's like, my army. And it was just tiny statues. And my beast is just eating a fly, which is sad. And he's like my life. And he just throws the horn like, no, get that thing away from me. It's messing with my head. And Lucy's like, King, everything's gonna be fine. And King's like, no, you guys are just making fun of me like usual, right? He's like, no. He's just crying and he just ran off. And Lucy's like, King. Lucy's like, King, come back. And and Lilith's like, I wish I never came here and indulged this fantasy. And Rudy's crying like, oh, is this what regret feels like? It feels awful. And Lucy's like sitting on a log. And, she gave Albert to Ida, the staff. And she's like, oh, it's all my fault. Like, I indulged his lie. I should have told him the truth. And now he's out there all alone. And she's crying. And, that's what I was kind of saying. I was leaning towards more Lilith, where kind of had to tell him the truth. It would be hard, but he need to know. And now he knows. She's better for it. And Lucy's crying. And Ida's like, don't worry. This island is small. This island is small. And he's smaller. He couldn't have gone far. Come on, let's go. And, Lilith and Hootie go. And before Ida leaves, she puts her hand on Lucy's shoulder. Don't worry, we'll find him. And Lucy's like, wipes away her tears. And she goes to find King. King, where are you? Please come back. And she sees King at a log. And, she sits down with, King. And King's like, Ida was right. I'm not the king of anything. I'm nothing. And Lucy's like, no, you're not nothing. You're someone special, like very close to me. And like, I'm sorry that I didn't tell the truth what I believed in. I'm sorry that I lied. And King's like, everyone lied. And I was just so caught up in the fantasy to see it. I don't know what to do, Luce. I can't tell what's real and what's fake. And the actor who did King, Alex Hirsch, did a wonderful job with the scene. Really good. Really well done. And, Luce is like, kind of crying too. And she was kind of thinking, like, looking at that shaft. And he's like, hey, something's not adding up. Like, you remember falling, right? And King's like, it could have been, this could have been accurate. Where he's like, probably just something, another thing I made up. And Lucy's like, maybe it's not made up. Like, maybe that's where, you came from. Because you remember falling and Ida found you in that cave. And like you remembered a muffled roar. You remembered the roar. And King's like, I don't know, Luce, what if the story gets worse? And Luce is like, you might have been alone before, but you have us now. And King is like, okay. And then, Lilith, Hootie, and Ida come back, and Ida's like, oh, King, oh, thank goodness you're safe. And, and King has this mad look on his face, and Ida's like, you're mad. I understand. I wouldn't blame you. I'd be mad too. I'm very sorry, King. And King's like, boop. And I love this line. He's like, no more secrets, okay? You have to promise me. And he's like, only truths. I promise. So no more secrets between us. I hope Ida lives up to that promise. And hopefully that's true. Because I'll be very upset. But, I'm sure, like, everything will be fine. But, and Lucy's like, okay, I'm glad we have everything resolved, but one more thing we have to do before we leave. And you go to the shaft, and we see the moon guard monster rebuilding the statues, and he's like you can sense it. And we see Lilith and Hootie, and Hootie's like, special delivery, pain, and he's like a grenade launcher, which is really funny. And we see a bit whoosh, a gust of smoke, and they're, and we see Ida with like Luce and King, and like Ida's like, are you sure they're gonna be fine? And Luce is like with King is like, oh, don't worry, they'll be fine. And Hui's like, and Luke's like, ugh. And he's like, are you sure they're gonna be okay? And Hui just being more like a grenade launcher, and um, and he's like, oh, Lucy, ready? And he's like, yep, I'm ready. And she knocks like, they put some more like fire potion grenades at the top of the shadow because there's rocks covering it. Lucy uses a fire glyph, blows it up, and Lilith is and Hootie is like, hold your breath, and trying to fight the thing, and it senses them, grabs them. Hootie punches it with his face, and they go. And they are going up, but this thing, I'm glad this monster didn't stop chasing them for sorry reasons. I'm kind of concerned for them, but sorry. And it's like jumping, and he's like, nothing's here. And he's like, oh, come on, it's gotta be something. And King's like, oh, it's coming back. And King, they all retreat to a door, and King puts his hand on it, and whoosh, it glows. Oh, King opened it, and they open it, and the door closes, and now the thing is like trapped outside. But the door is pretty old, so sorry. The door's pretty old, so because Ida said like it won't hold it forever, and he's like, how did we get the door open anyway? And King's looking at his paw, and we see an eggshell. It's like, oh, King hatched, and like and like and Lilith's like, oh, look at all these markings, like they're so remarkable. And Luce is like, King, is anything coming back? He's like, a little bit, but I think I know something that will jog my memory for good. Ida, I'm ready. He's by the eggshells, and Ida's like, are you sure? Yes, I'm ready this time. And he's like, okay. And she grabs his part of his horn from her hair, hands it to King. King puts it on, and he's like, oh, I remembered hearing a deep roar. So the muffled roar was kind of like a miscommunication. It was a deep roar, and we hear a roar, and we see King inside the yolk of the egg. He's like not ready to come out yet, and he's like, whoosh, and there was an explosion, but I was too tiny to do anything about it, so I just went back to sleep. And then I was bigger, and he hatched from the egg, and we see like a symbol, and and baby King is so cute, and he's just like crawling around, and like he put his hand on the door, the paw on the door, and it opened, and we see the monster, and the monster took him. So, oh, was this like his guard or something? Yeah, it probably was. And it jumped down, and we see like the guts and like the big light. That was from that shot where the monster took him, and he's like whoa. And then he's like he's like, that roar, that roar, it meant son, Luce. Someone called me their son. I think it was my dad. And Luce is like, maybe it was him on those cards. So, oh, cool, King's dad. Because we don't have like a lot of dads in this show, so it'd be good to have more dads. This is a female show, but it's good to have male characters. So, just my opinion. But basically, and then Lucy's like, maybe it was him on those carvings, and the monster breaks the door, and King's like, stop, and the thing bows to him, and Edith's like, that thing was protecting us from, was protecting King from us, and and Lucy's like, hey, King, maybe you weren't exactly the king of demons. And Lucy's like, King's like, I was important to someone. If my dad is still out there, I want to find him. I'm not that old. Like, I'm not that old. It could be possible for me to find them. And they'd all hug it out, and Lilith, Hootie, King, Luce, and Ida, along with Albert and Lilith's Palisman, they all fly off, and we get back to the owl house, and Luce is gluing King's horn back on his head, to fix the horn, and King is And Lucy's like, "Hey King, what are you doing?" And he's drawing that symbol. That symbol was everywhere in the tower. It's some sort of language. Maybe it's my name. And he's gooey. So now King's horn is fixed. Sort of. You still see him like a mark, but it's fine. And King has a good question. He's like, "Hey Luce, is this okay to call me King? It's kind of weird since I'm not the king of anything." And Luce is like, "Hey, you're still the king of my heart. Like, right?" And King's like, "Yeah." And it's like, "Hey, it's too bad Jean-Luc, which is the monster he brought him with him, that moved since we left the tower. I thought it'd be fun to have a scary minion." And Lucy's like, "Yeah, too bad. I have this one complaint in this episode. I said, I had no complaints. I mean, I didn't say that, but I wasn't saying anything bad. Ida basically said that this thing couldn't leave the tower. And the usual excuse would be they have magic. But now Ida and Lilith's magic is limited to them just doing anything. Now they just have glyphs. I don't recall them having glyphs to remove force fields. So, and maybe people in the comments, maybe people say, "Oh, maybe King opened it." Well, then show that. Explain that. They didn't explain that. So how did Jean-Luc, I like the name, how did he get out? So, and this is my only complaint. This is a 95%. A+. Best episode so far. But how do you get out? I don't know. Whatever. But King's like, "Oh, you kiss," and Luce kisses him on the skull. Now Francois, she kisses the dog. Now Jean-Luc and he's like, "Ugh." And Luce's like, "Oh, I'm all out of kisses. Good night." And Luce is with Ida and Lilith, and Ida's like, "Oh, hey, are these things like some sort of ancient language? What do you think, detective?" And Lilith's like, "Hey, what were those carvings?" And Luce is like, "I don't know, but whatever it is, we'll be there for King." And episode ends, and we see like a photo of King, what we think is King's dad. So A+, 95%. The only complaint is, how did Jean-Luc get out? I don't know. Maybe they might explain it in a newer episode. Episode 9 is supposed to come out tomorrow, but I don't know. But anyway, everyone, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, give me a big thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys later today for The Owl House Season 2, Episode 4, called Keeping Up Appearances. Alright, bye.